guys, it's Quana back again with another review. Hope you guys are doing awesome. Alright, so today I wanted to come and talk to you guys a little bit about the new movie The Kitchen. It was released in 2023 on Netflix and it was directed by Daniel Kaluuya and Tavares. It stars Kane from Top Boy and Jedaiah Bannerman. This film is a dystopian coming-of-age story about a man named Izi who is hoping to get out of his community living dwelling known as the kitchen and into one of the posh living units that is in this dystopian society for the wealthy and well-to-do. He's finally raised the funds to do so when he meets a young boy by the name of Benji. Benji has nowhere to go and no one to turn to, and he comes barreling into Izi's life, and it prompts the question of if Izi can escape the kitchen or if he'll stay and take care of this new young man that has come into his world. This movie, the trailer released, and I was immediately like, yes, definitely going to be watching this. And of course, it was directed by Daniel Kaluuya, who we know from Queen and Slim, Black Panther, Black Mirror, Jesus and the Black Messiah. He's been in a slew of movies. Of course, one of my favorite movies of 2022, Nope, directed by Jordan Peele. And so this is his directorial debut. Now, it is not the directorial debut of Tavares, but he has mostly done short films and some British films. And so this is their first major collaboration and their first big movie for a major service. I was really super excited about this movie. I love all things dystopian, and give me a black dystopian Afrofuturistic movie and I am definitely in. Cue the trailer, and there are motorcycles, there are men in masks and ski. There's a Lord Kitchener whose voice commands from on high, and it's just seemed like such an exciting movie. And I will say, for a directorial debut, I think that Daniel Kaluuya and Tavares' collaboration was really, really good. It was really intriguing. One of the things that was really most intriguing to me is the fact that it seems like Daniel has taken little homages from his own acting experiences in the worlds that he's gotten to play with and brought them into this movie. And I think there are tons of Easter eggs for some of those roles. One of the very first scenes in this movie shows Kane brushing his teeth in a mirror that seems like a very obvious homage to Daniel Kaluuya's episode of Black Mirror entitled 15 Million Merits. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you do. If you decide to watch Black Mirror for the first time and have never seen it, do not watch episode 1 first. You go straight to episode 3, which is Daniel Kaluuya's episode, and then you work your way back once you got a handle on the vibe of Black Mirror. But this is not about Black Mirror. It's about the kitchen and Kane Robinson's performance as Izi. This movie gives very much the road. It's very much quiet man and child bonding experience, and it is very much a coming of age story centered around the character of Benji, even though Izi has his own coming of age kind of journey in this movie as well. I was not prepared for that. I actually didn't know much about the movie going into it before the first trailer was released, and it gave glimpses of what it would be. There is an interesting world here because we see a futuristic London that it seems as though it's squeezed out almost every community dwelling where the impoverished could possibly live, and it is a London for the wealthy. And it begs the question, what happens to those individuals who were pushed out? What happens to them? We see this one lone area known as the kitchen. It's rough. It's been told to be filled with crime. But what we actually get to see is a vibrant community that seems like they're there for each other and takes care for each other and loves each other. It is very much an Aladdin type of story where in many ways they are Aladdin trying to just take what they need to survive. They're very much Robin Hood, taking from the rich and giving to the poor. Izi works at a funeral home, or I guess it's kind of a funeral home, because you don't get buried in a traditional sense in this movie, and it's a really interesting way to show some of the new methodology for burial that is already happening, and showing how that takes us into the future of this society. It's there where he meets Benji's character, played by Jedaiah Bannerman, who I think was the true standout in this film. He brings a lot of childlike innocence, but also wisdom and questioning and exploration into this world, and it's through his eyes that we get to see the kitchen and all of its vibrant colors and nuances. I also felt like the kitchen was a character, but I really wanted to get to know more of it, and the story behind the kitchen and those who are at the heart of it seemed like it perhaps was the more interesting story. And because Izi is fighting so hard to fight his way out, we never really get to see him mingle with the individuals in the kitchen. It never feels like his home. It's just a place he has to escape from. And there's nothing wrong with that, except it is a bit odd that you place your protagonist not at the heart of one of the main plot points of the movie. And I think that is one area that the script fails. It's also an extremely quiet movie with not a lot of dialogue. In fact, Nicolas Cage would love this movie. Absolutely. What dialogue is there, it's centered around the character of Benji and the other characters that we meet along the way. I was particularly interested in the character of Lord Kitchener. I thought that that was a really interesting character. Wanted to know more about him. Benji ends up getting taken in by a group of young people in the story, and I was really interested in them. It really feels like the film Concrete Cowboys, which also came out on Netflix, I think about 2 years ago, maybe in 2020 or 2021, starring Idris Elba and Caleb McLaughlin. It felt a lot like that movie, except for set in a dystopian future. A lot like that movie. I'm always here for coming of age stories, especially for Black youth. We don't have a lot of them, but I was still a little disheartened in the fact that, you know, that's what this was, and it's a story that's centered around crime and poverty, and it feels like there's a lot of that. Fewer and fewer movies like The Inkwell, where it's coming of age, but it's, you know, middle class suburban youth. And so I'm always here for coming of age stories for Black youth, but I wasn't expecting this to be a coming of age story, and I don't think that it was marketed around that. And I think that, you know, there's been this conversation that's been happening recently, especially with regards to some of the musicals that have come out, about why studios are not promoting their movies as they truly are and unveiling them. And I think it comes from, you know, maybe a little bit of the pushback about studios releasing these trailers and the trailers giving too much away. But I do feel like you have to let people know what kind of story they're getting, because I was expecting a heist. I'm not even gonna lie, when you watch the teaser trailer and the first trailer, it feels like you're gonna be focusing on a heist movie, and I'm like, oh, I'm all for a dystopian heist movie. I legit thought that that's what we were getting, and that was not the story that we were getting at all. And so for that, on Letterboxd, I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. So over here, I am going to give this movie a C+. Maybe a B-, because, you know, I like to grade on a curve. It was still worth your time. It was still interesting. I'm certainly glad that it came out on Netflix and perhaps not in the theater, because I think that it would have been a lot more disappointing to get a movie like this in the theater and not have it feel fully fleshed out. But the visuals are solid, and I think it has the beginnings of a very interesting story. The last act was where things begin to feel rushed, and it feels like it needed a little bit more development. And then the ending I was a little less than satisfied with, but I will say the character of the kitchen as an entity, as a society, was super interesting. I would love to play in this world a little bit longer. Let me know down below in the comments if you had an opportunity to watch The Kitchen. Are you excited for it if you haven't seen it? And don't forget to give your girl a subscribe and a follow if at all possible. Give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Toodles!